may not look like my jaw's broken, but it is.
Welcome back to Ben the Menace. Great to be here. This is our final episode in Los Angeles. Final episode in, I've been calling it a studio. It's actually where my videographer, Kelvin, claims that he doesn't live. It's our final LA episode. It's an LA wrap-up. It's really, as far as I'm concerned, this is an opportunity to like come to some conclusions about my time in Los Angeles, which I've never done. I've lived in a bunch of different cities, and I've left a lot of them. And usually when I leave, I learn nothing. There's no, I don't leave and go, oh, here's what I'll do the next time I move. Here's the lesson that I learned. Here's what I'll do. Here's the next thing that I'm gonna do. I almost never do that. There's an opportunity to think out loud and actually make the move. I'm moving across the country to the East Coast. Make that move a fruitful one where I actually benefit from moving. Because I've been in LA for 6 years, and I was just thinking, like, what will I miss? What is it that I'll miss about Los Angeles? And the short answer is nothing. The longer answer is like I won't miss the stereotypical stuff. Like I will not miss traffic. I will not miss low-level sociopathy. I won't miss like meeting someone who's done stand-up comedy 3 times, who's telling me how they're gonna blow up. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna miss that. But like, you know, what will I miss? The fact that I'm having to think so hard is it means that I need to move. I got to get the fuck out of here. You know, it's a little superficial, but like pretty nice to be able to go drive to the beach. That's really nice. You know what I'm gonna miss? The Mexicans. That's an underrated, under-discussed aspect of Los Angeles. If Los Angeles, if for somehow there was a natural disaster, if there was like a Chernobyl where only the non-Mexicans were burned from the inside alive, there was like a nuclear explosion that only killed non-Mexicans, I would love Los Angeles. It would be a great city. I love the taco carts, like taco trucks. I'm gonna miss ordering an Alhambra for $12, where you get like, if you get a cabeza Alhambra, you pretty much get an entire cow's head in the meal. I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss going, I can make cow head tacos for the next 3 days, and I spent $12. It actually has gone up. When I moved to LA, it was $10. You know what I'm not gonna miss? It's fucking $20 now at a taco stand that's attached to a mobile gas station. But I'll miss that stuff, like the local stuff. You know, Thai Town. You know, in a different lifetime, this is not applicable to my life now, but there's some Thai prostitutes that I might miss. That kind of this sounds like a fucked up colonizing white guy's perspective, but I'm gonna miss all of the lovely ethnic people that I met in Los Angeles. That stuff is cool. Like the actual culture. Koreatown, all you can eat Korean barbecue. It's all food. That's all I'm gonna miss. Legitimately, that might be the only thing that I miss. Like going to Korean barbecue, spending like $23 and eating like a really disturbing amount of food where the goal is I hope that the people serving me are mad by the end of it. I'll miss that. Like that, There might be some of that in New York. New York's there's a lot of different cultures, but there's some like there's the most Korean people in Los Angeles outside of Korea, or there's the most Korean restaurants or something like that. I don't know what you look it up. I don't know what the fuck it is, but that kind of stuff I'll miss. And I made, I'm saying all of this like, oh, what will I miss? While Kelvin, who's done videography for me, and Chris, who's produced a lot of these for like as a friendly, like for free. You guys have helped me so much, and I'm like, what am I gonna miss? I mean, of course I'm gonna miss you guys. Like I've made some like good friendships, great like work relationship. The work relationships that I've made that are gonna last. Those are incredible, and I really don't see that happening in New York. Like where I'm like working with a producer who actually knows what he's doing, who's worked on big podcasts, and he's just being generous and helping. I don't expect that level of generosity in New York City. I just don't think that's going to happen. I expect a lot more of people going like, hey, I'm walking here. I go, hey, do you want to produce my podcast? They go, I'm walking here. It's going to be a lot less of like, and actually I'm talking about how I'm going to miss the Mexicans. You guys are both technically Mexican, right? Yeah, at least half. Kelvin's at least. Yeah. So you're... really, when I said I'm going to miss the Mexicans, I meant it because you're lumped in with the I'm going to miss the Mexican people who make food and the Mexican people who make podcasts in Los Angeles and no one else. That is really what I'll miss. There's some great relationships, great people I've met here who I've worked with. The podcast, like this kind of stuff, what I'm doing right now, LA is built for this. Making connections, having guests on, somehow DMing porn stars and they say yes and they're on your podcast or some bigger comic. The interviews that I do in New York, the stand up that I do in New York, I think will be fun. You can go run from club to club. You can get a lot of stage time. I'll get better as a comic. Podcasting, I'm gonna do it indefinitely. It's not gonna be the same. I like the level of the guest and the kind of people you're having on, I just don't anticipate it. But like, I don't think it's going to be like this podcast. This has been great, and I will miss this. And I talked about the fact that I'm having a kid. I talked about that last episode, and I feel like I might tear up this episode for some reason. I'm talking about getting married and having a kid, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna cry talking about the Mexicans I'm gonna miss. I'll miss that stuff, the relationships, and honestly, it's mostly podcast based, which sounds bizarre, but like the only sentimentality I have that I associate with LA is podcast based, which sounds like some futuristic nonsense, but that's how I feel. And so that's what I'll miss. What am I gonna like? What do I get out? What did I get out of being in LA for 6 years? Because that's what people move to LA and they go like, they don't move here to enjoy themselves. I think the average person who moves to LA isn't like, I'm looking to have a nice time in the entertainment industry. The average person who moves to LA is like, give me something? How do I get something? What's LA gonna do for me? And beyond those relationships that I mentioned, LA has not done a ton. I've learned how to do stand-up. I started doing stand-up here. I have learned quite a bit about how to perform and how to do stand-up, how to do podcasts. And actually, thanks to the guys who are off camera right now, I've learned how to network a little bit. I mean, when I moved to LA, it's very easy for me to go, I've learned nothing. This is a waste of time. I spent 6 years in Los Angeles pursuing an entertainment career and got nothing. It's easy for me to say that, but that's just not true. I've learned how to network, which means use people. And that sounds really fucked up. There's some truth to that. Like I've learned how to start a relationship that actually turns into something beneficial professionally. You know, how to slip into someone's DMs for stage time. I learned that all here. I'm not saying that I couldn't have learned that anywhere else, but I did learn that. Like taking an entertainment career seriously and actually trying to get somewhere with it. I'm not saying I got anywhere fantastic with it, but I've learned how to at least pursue that in an effective way, I think. And when I moved here, I could not function like on that level. I had an Instagram account that I had an Instagram account that I was locked out of. Like people are like, "Oh, can I check out your Instagram?" And I go, "I can't. I literally can't look at my own Instagram. What's your IG? I don't know. I actually don't know what it is because I can't log into it." I was very bad at networking. I thought, you know what I thought when I moved here? I thought that if you were talented, you just get stuff. People just help you. And actually, I didn't even think if you were talented. I thought if you had potential, people would be like, "Oh, cool. Let me give you a career now." And the lesson that I've learned is like you got to do it. You got to do a lot of this on your own. It's kind of on you, and in a good way, like some responsibility for your own, for like whether or not it's going to work out for you. I don't think that's all bad. So that I'm leaving a different version of myself than I thought than when I started. And it's not that much better, but it is better. I guess that's what I learned over the 6 years. And if you're wondering, would I come back? The answer is, if there was money involved, yes. I don't see myself coming back for anything that isn't like a job. And if you know anything about LA, there aren't that many jobs. Like if somebody wanted me to write something, sure, that's a big hypothetical. If Chris is able to put together the porn round table, sure, that sounds good. But beyond that, like, yeah, I don't see myself coming back anytime soon. I mean, it would take. We were talking earlier about like what it would take for me to give up on my dreams, like what it would take for me to stop pursuing stand-up or something related to stand-up. It would take the exact same thing for me to come. The thing that would bring me back to Hollywood is the same thing that would get me to quit Hollywood completely or anything entertainment related. Money, cold, hard cash. If you pay me to move here and do what I'm doing right now here, happily I will do it. If you pay me to give up, yeah, done. and it's got to be a significant amount of money. Chris asked me like, what's the number that it would take? Christina, my wife, is from Wisconsin. He goes, what is the number that it would take for you to live full time in Wisconsin and raise a family and raise the whitest child ever in Wisconsin? What would it take? And my answer was somewhere in the tens of millions of dollars. It would take a lot. I don't mind visiting. I don't mind driving or flying to Wisconsin, and hearing a whole lot about how in a few days there's going to be fireworks. And how we have like a really good our house, you can see all the fire. I don't mind that occasionally. I don't mind that in the month of July surrounding July 4th. I might start to mind that if it's like 365. That's going to be a bit of an issue. And I love those people. Lovely, lovely people. That might change if I was with them all the time. There might be a slightly different atmosphere. Yeah, it's all. The irony is like I'm leaving Los Angeles with I came with no money and I'm leaving with no money, and the only thing that would bring me back here is lots of money, like a briefcase full of money. And I don't hate it. I respect everybody. Well, that's not true, but I respect. I respect like the pursuit. I get it. Getting into entertainment, wanting to act or wanting to write or wanting to do stand-up, I get it. But now I get how naive it is just to like get here and think that things are going to happen. And like knowing what I know, like having lived here for 6 years and pursued the stuff that I pursued, what would I do differently? I would have spent a whole lot more time on social media. I mean, I still need to do that. I still need to spend more time on it. Like I would have cultivated the ability, and I still need to do this, but like to film my own stuff, edit my own stuff. I mean, I have 2 people helping me with it. Like, I'm like an infant of podcasting. I'm like, I'm the equivalent of a podcaster who's just constantly shitting himself and asking people to clean it up. I'm just a poopy diaper podcaster. Be like learning how to do stuff on your own and film your own stuff and like put out content constantly and create like a refillable content. Like a guy we had on yesterday doing the podcast, he does simple content where he's the only guy on camera. There's very little dialogue, and he built a huge following out of it. That's what I would have focused on moving here. Like, how do I generate content that will build an audience that is like as funny as it can be with the least amount of effort possible? And I still don't have the answer to that. Like I'm not quite there yet, but that's what I would have done differently. Build a brand online. I'm doing none of that. I mean, I'm doing things that are like related to it, but like build the most efficient brand possible online. That's the answer. Network immediately. I had no interest in networking when I moved here. Get to know people. Honestly, the ruthless answer is like use people, manipulate the internet, social, like aim for social media. What's the word that the kids say? Clout chase. If I was gonna redo it, if I'm 27 years old, I'm moving here in 2016. I'm living on Instagram, and I'm fucking hitting people up all the time. I'm showing up at people's shows. I'm becoming best friends with Chris D'Elia. No, I'm not doing that. But people like that. Like it helps to make those connections. I've done some of that, and I should have, like, in hindsight, doing more of that would have helped a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's really the answer. Is there anything that like any questions that came up out of that? Any notes? No. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so now that you know that, how are you going to apply that to New York?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, moving to New York, knowing what I know now, it's like there is an advantage, I think, going from a city that's like the most superficial city, arguably, in the country, to one that is a little less like gross, Instagram oriented. I do like, I'm going to waste a lot less time than I would have wasted if I had started in New York. I probably wouldn't even have an Instagram. Like I'd be making no effort to have a career, and I go, I'm just going to learn. I want to write the best joke, and if I write that joke, things are going to be and it's like the answer is, will things be great if you write the best joke? In today's market for stand-up, no, never. If I'd been in New York for 6 years now, I would have nothing. Not to say that I have anything right now, but I'm like, to answer your question, I'm gonna bring some of that gross, superficial energy to New York, and I think it'll help. Is this too negative about LA? I think it's true. I mean,
That's your experience.
yeah.
And it's an experience that a lot of people have had as well.
Yeah.
It's weird to move to LA and be like, this was great.
Yeah.
So that's a real sociopath. Because
Yeah.
to make it in LA, you have to use people.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, that's it. Well, okay, so one thing that I have learned in LA, maybe I haven't learned it to the best degree possible, but I have learned it a little bit, is how to use people a little. And if I apply a little bit of that in New York, I think I'll benefit from it. And that's something that I wouldn't have known how to do otherwise. And it would have been like the living on integrity. One thing I've learned in LA is if your glass is 100% full of integrity, maybe dump a little bit of that out. It's not going to help you so much long term. You got it. Like a glass that's overflowing with integrity is a guy who is not doing that well as a stand-up comedian or anybody in entertainment. Yeah, I want to bring some of that lack of integrity. I gotta. If there's a shortcut, maybe I'll take it. That sort of energy, I think, is good. Moving to a city like New York, because you can get caught up in the minutia.
Well, also, I think when you're thinking about networking, you should also come at it from the perspective of what am I offering this person to use them, and that's kind of where like the integrity comes in.
Right.
Because now, I mean, like that's how I do. It's like, okay, I'll give you this, and I need this, and that. You know, so you're offering like, what are you offering people to use them, and that's how you do it with integrity.
Right. Like following through on your promises and stuff.
Also, like, what's the hardest thing for anyone right now is content. It's just getting content. You're offering content to people. So you just have to think of it in that kind of case. And maybe it's not views, but it's you'll give them a bunch of content that they can use, and you know that you need that, right?
Yeah.
You've learned that the death of any algorithm is not putting out content. It doesn't always have to get good views.
The light just went out. It's all right.
Yeah, and
Kelvin, it's all right. It's all right, Kelvin.
fucking stroke.
Just leave it. It's all right.
It's all good. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
That's how you think about it.
Yeah. Like I scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Yeah.
That's a beneficial. Like it's helpful just to be aware of that.
Right.
That does help a lot.
And it is gonna be like you're scratching someone's back and they're giving you a massage.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna be for a while.
Yeah.
But you're still scratching their back.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. And like saying that, it just reminds me that like there's a lot of people who I started with in LA, who I like did stuff with, people who I did podcasts with, who stopped, who don't do stand up anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little sad too. It's like I'm leaving a city and there's like people in my wake. You know, they're just like the equivalent of like there's like bodies just like floating at the top of the ocean. And I didn't end it for them, but like we did stuff. We were like looking ahead, going, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we were like professional comics? And I'm still going. And there's some people who are like, oh, I'm just never gonna do that. That I've decided to not do that with my life. I mean, I've said this before. My wife, we both were doing stand up, and people say like it's very hard to date a comic, and I do think the only way to successfully date a comic is to get them to quit comedy. And she wasn't as she wasn't as dedicated to it as I was, but I didn't get her to quit. But she happened to stop doing it, and she's doing other stuff now, and that's helpful. So her comedy body is like at the top of the the lake, writhing at the top of the lake, and that's beneficial. That's helped us. Yeah. Are there more questions, or should we just go to the Kelvin stuff?
I don't know, wrap it up how you felt about
About LA.
Yeah, about the 6 year.
I don't know. It's fucking. It's also just kind of sad, man. It's like moving to a place and going like, I have one goal in mind. I gotta make it. I'm gonna make it happen. And then you hear all the success stories of people who like did what you wanted to do in 2 years or did what you wanted to do in 3 years, and you're like, that's the fastest. Maybe I can do it in 5, or maybe best case scenario, maybe I can do it in 2 years. I'm leaving in 6. Being brutally honest with you, being nowhere near where I wanted to be. There is, and actually Christina's sister watches these, and she said her main complaint was like, can you stop talking about how you're at the bottom of the totem pole in stand-up, please? Could you stop reiterating that every episode? And also, could you stop talking about being Jewish? So Christina's anti-Semitic sister will not like this episode, but that's all right. That's okay. People don't like anti-Semites. There's some people out there who aren't into that. So not everybody likes, not everyone sees eye to eye on everything. Yeah, it's not a great feeling to leave, like to slunk away with your tail between your legs, not being exactly where you want to be. That's like the fact that the honest truth of the situation is, I wanted to conquer not the city of LA. I could give less of a shit about that, but like my career aspirations. Yeah, I wanted to conquer that, and I definitely got somewhere, but I didn't get anywhere near where I wanted to be, and that's not a great feeling. And there's something, it feels kind of stupid going somewhere else where you're like, now I'm headed somewhere else and it'll be totally different. And it's like, there are differences, but it's not going to be totally different. You're just continuing where you left off on some level. And it takes fucking forever to get where you want to be doing what I'm doing. And that's actually the biggest lesson that I learned. It's like, you think it takes 2 years, you think it takes 3 years, you think it takes 6. You look at other people's careers, and there's so many. They like have something 5 years in, and then it goes away, and then they come back. There's so many ebbs and flows. It never fucking ends. A lot of the time, you hear people talking about, and they're like, when I was 3 years in, I was a fucking idiot. And then cut to somebody else talking, and they're like, dude, when you're 6 years in, you don't know anything. And then you cut to somebody else who's been doing it for 20 years, and they're like, 10 years in, morons. It never. I just want to get to the point where I actually know what I'm doing, and I'm nowhere near that. But I've learned some stuff, and we've talked about it. And the main thing that I've learned is that I'm a big fan of the Mexicans. And speaking of that, Kelvin has been behind the camera for many of these episodes. What episode are we on right now? Like 20 something? We could be 30 in at this point. So we'll be roughly 30 episodes in. No, there's been a mystery guy behind the camera throughout a lot of these named Kelvin. He's asked questions. He's had some dating issues. You might remember that he broke his jaw at some point. There's been a lot of stuff. And some of you out there, I bet, are like, is this even a real guy? Does this guy even exist? But we're going to bring that guy on camera for my last LA episode in Kelvin's apartment. And he's going to ask me some questions. I'm going to ask him some questions. And that's how we're going to wrap it up. So everybody give it up for Kelvin. You good? You nervous? Kelvin isn't on camera a lot. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Is there a question that comes to mind for you, off the bat? First of all, everybody, this is Kelvin. Like, it's probably nice to see him on camera. He's a real guy. He's been behind camera quite a bit. He comes and goes. He's been 90 minutes late a lot. He drives a Tesla. That story where we were driving the same direction and then he did a U-turn for no reason. That's this guy.
The real reason behind that, actually.
The U-turn?
Yeah.
That's my first question for you is, Kelvin, why did you do that?
All right, there's an answer. The answer is that was the day that my tire had gone completely flat, and I didn't notice it. And then I knew that, okay, it's at like 4 PSI right now. if I go and park and then we do the podcast, by the time, because there was a leak, by the time I go to try to fix it, this is my only opportunity to go and try to fill it up with air at the nearest gas station. And I was like, okay, let me just make this quick U-turn because there's a gas station in the corner here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I went. But and then
Calvin,
it wasn't even worth it because the gas station I didn't find the air pump, so I had to come back. And Ben was probably like, "What the heck are you?"
If I was still in the field of psychology, I would love to run a case study on the mind of Calvin. I want a brain scan and a like an MRI scan of Calvin's brain. I just have a feeling there's like it's not a normal brain. There's just like normally there's like the patches that are like lit up when people are thinking about certain things or whatever is being activated. In Calvin's brain, there's just a small Tesla, like
a logo.
Yeah,
that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah. You know how people when they go in for like the anal exam and then they're like, oh, there's a car, there's the toy car in your butthole. There's a toy Tesla in there somewhere.
But yeah,
that's my first question. What was your question for me? That was your question for me too.
My question to you, I don't know. I mean, this seems like a pretty big.
Here's my other question for you, Calvin. Do you live here?
Yeah. I'm living more and more here, yeah. No, but
Calvin's a real enigma. Like if you don't know him personally, that doesn't make any sense what you just said. Yeah. I'm living more and more here. Usually you either live somewhere or you don't. But we'll move on. I know that there's like some people who you don't want to know. Like there's you're gonna go to like tax jail. No. There's some issues.
I'm on the lam. No, I'm playing it.
It feels like that at times.
No,
Calvin, I noticed that I made fun of you for wearing jeans with holes in them a lot, and you haven't really been wearing those as much. Did you throw those out because I made fun of your fuckboy pants?
I still have them, and sometimes I'll like see them in my closet, and I'll say, "Do I want to?" No,
not when we're filming.
No. Honestly, I don't even wear them really anymore in my day to day.
So I did kind of shame you out of those pants.
No, probably because they're older too. I just probably need to get new pairs.
Not that they're not fashionable anymore. You just need a better pair. You need a better pair of jeans that you buy with holes in them.
That mixed with maybe when you said that, I was like, maybe should I keep wearing these? I don't know.
I definitely did. I definitely shamed one comic. Like I followed a comic on a show and like laid into him for wearing the fuckboy jeans with the holes in them.
Yeah.
He's never worn them again.
No, but I used to wear like big ones. I think you've seen me with like big holes, like, and I was like I'm thinking back, like, how did I wear that so blatantly? Like, I mean, it's whatever, but
I mean, they're popular. People wear them.
But yeah, no.
We're still working on your question.
Yeah,
do you
I was
have a
gonna
question?
say. I mean, this is a pretty big turning point for you. I mean, you're leaving the city. I've only lived here pretty much. I mean, briefly in other cities, but mainly here. So I don't even know. The thought about me going to New York would be so intense. You're just going there. Like, you're pretty optimistic, right? I mean, how do you feel? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it ebbs and flows. In general, I am optimistic. Chris, do you have something?
I got something for Calvin.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
tell me.
So, you know.
Here, do you,
Yeah.
Here. You want to be able to hear you.
You, like myself, have helped out Ben so much.
You really have. And I'm
and
grateful for it, of course.
And also Ben makes fun of you all. And it's not even just on camera thing, like, oh, we're just doing it for the podcast. When the cameras are off, it's the same thing.
That is true.
What do you say? I mean, what is it? Ben's a great friend of mine. I love working with him. I see a lot in Ben. What do you like? Why are you doing it? Like, what do you see in Ben that just keeps
it's a
you coming
pretty
back?
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. To consolidate Chris's question, why the hell are you here? Why are you doing this?
I should probably ask Chris the same thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all good questions. I've had other people ask too. They're like, I think people think that I'm like some guy with like a huge trust fund or something, and I'm just paying you guys tons of money because they're like, how does he have all these people around? Because that's pretty rare that like a podcaster at the beginning stages has like multiple people in studio.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious.
Okay. It's kind
And also, I'm sorry for making fun of you. The jeans are cool. It's
No,
fine.
there's some people say that you know how some people say that they show affection by roasting your friends or whatever. I think that's
you roast the ones you love.
Yeah.
Which is true for Kelvin most when he's not 90 minutes late. That's true.
No, but yeah, it's actually funny because when I met you, it didn't start off this way at all, right? I mean,
What do you mean, roasty?
No, I'm saying like this whole like why
We weren't working together as much, no.
Yeah, it was just
You would come shoot stuff sometimes.
But do you remember how it was that I met you?
At the
Do you remember?
beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met outside of Haha. Like you were just at a show.
Yeah.
And you said like, hey, if you need someone to shoot stuff.
No, but
And then I just somehow like, not only was it like, hey, if you need, it's like all the time. I'm like, oh, cool. So you can just shoot stuff all the time?
No, because it was, R.I.P. But I was speaking to Blake outside of.
Oh God!
Ha-ha.
All right, yeah. This is already kind of a sad episode.
No.
Never talking about our dead friend.
No, no, because this is how we met. So it was, and then we were speaking about real estate. Remember?
Oh yeah, okay.
He was doing something with loans or something, and I was telling him how like I was a new realtor and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Hey man, I don't know anyone that's trying to buy a house." And then
That's not a bad Blake impression.
And
actually.
then and then he just and then
you know anybody who's trying to buy a house?
Yeah, and then but he was like, "But maybe I have someone here that might." Hey, and then you were just happened to just be walking
really?
by.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
and then you were like,
What
"Hey,"
a vivid memory you have.
and he was like, "Hey Ben, do you want to buy a house, man?"
Yeah.
And then
That's funny. When we used to just kind of like do bits out in front of Haha, we would just do like a never-ending bit. I would make fun of him. He would make up scenarios, and you were just part of one of those scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I was like, "Oh, what's your name, man?" And you're like, "Oh, Ben." And then that's how we met.
Yes, I have a feeling that when you asked my name, I did say Ben.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like so that's how yes, you answered when you said what's your name, I did say Ben. but why are we still together? Like why are we That's a good question.
I don't know. I see the good in you. I see that.
As we film Ben the Menace, the Evil Ben podcast.
No, I see you're driven. A lot of people would have given up on certain things.
It's good. That feels like a pretty mild insult, but thank you.
No, that's not how I mean it.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
Like persistence,
Yeah,
consistency under, whatever, no matter the outcome.
Okay, this is sounding like the roast of Ben.
No,
too.
no. I'm just saying, like, and then I was like, okay, and I don't know. I was just filming you, and I was being thrown into interesting scenarios.
You did the behind the scenes for Honest Therapy and
stuff.
stuff.
I saw Honest Therapy. I was there.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
I met Chris.
Yeah. So, well, you like that, like, you get a lot of experience out of this. I'm proactive. I'm doing stuff. You've shot podcasts. You've shot shows now.
Yeah.
You are kind of building like your work resume a little bit.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just.
So that's not true. What I just said.
No. It's true. It's true. But I'm also thinking about the other aspects of it, like the personal sides of things.
Well, and we're friends now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it too. It's not a work relationship 100% by any means.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah, we would go out to eat and stuff, and
Yeah.
I think that if you ever come back to LA, obviously you just hit me up, and then I'll go to your show, or you can come over. We'll go out or something. And if I'm ever in New York, probably gonna be hanging out with Ben. Yeah.
Please come and babysit my child.
We start a YouTube channel, like a toys reviews. With your,
she's
those are very profitable.
My child is gonna better be a cash cow. That's very important. The unboxing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Those are, yeah.
I mean, Christina. Every time there's a new juncture in our lives, I do kind of like have I have like the shitty, bad entrepreneurial goals. Like when the pandemic hit, I was like, guess we gotta start an OnlyFans, start fucking.
Yeah.
That was immediate. I was like, well, we have to have sex on camera now.
To which she
Because
said,
the world is ending, and she goes, I will never do that.
Also, I hate to burst your bubble, but the unboxing thing, that's
Is it dead?
Is it?
I'm
Oh,
sure there's
yeah.
some version of that.
Oh, you're not allowed?
You're not allowed to profit off your child like
Not
that.
monetized anymore,
that's-
or
on YouTube, you're not allowed to do
That's for the best.
it. Into, like, some
terms and services? Yeah.
We can take her to some
not
commercial
allowed.
auditions. It'll be fine. We'll figure something out. Yeah.
You're like, no, there's a way.
Yeah, Broadway. She learns how to sing quickly. We figure it out. She could be a 1-year-old singing on Broadway.
Have her do Instagram reels.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna hold her up in Instagram clips for sure. I don't like doing personal stuff. Everyone says you're supposed to the best case or the best thing to do is like have your child on your Instagram. I have no interest in doing that.
You could create like a facade persona.
Remember your fake one? Your fake post?
Yeah.
Like, I guess this
People loved it.
and then it blew up?
Yeah. Yeah. If I get desperate, might have to do that. So that
You should do it a year later, though. Like, don't put any pictures of your kid 1 year old, Scarlett's first birthday.
yeah.
Yeah, you want them talking.
Yeah, and then then like 13 years from now, I'll go, guess this happened, and it's just like a teenager.
I don't know why I pictured some fat kid.
Yeah. My kid will be fat. Well, yeah, we got to make some money to fatten that kid up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't. As
Was I a
child,
fat kid?
Yeah, were you?
That's a
how
good
were-
question. I actually was. I was like a little husky for
Husky,
sure.
yeah, big boned.
Yeah, a little bit. Christina wasn't. I have a feeling our kid's gonna be like,
A mix.
yeah, pretty standard sized. I don't envision us having like an obese, Krispy Kreme baby. I don't see that happening. But who knows?
Yeah, just don't feed it unhealthy food.
Hey, Kelvin. Yeah, you know what, Kelvin? I think that's a pretty good idea. I was planning on just stuffing donuts into her bottle. Do you think that's a good idea?
Some people. Some people do feed their kid unhealthy food just for convenience.
I think that's very true. There's it's kind of an epidemic in America.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you telling me and giving me the fantastic advice of not doing that.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah.
Did I ask you a question? I guess I asked you a couple.
Yeah.
Answer mine.
Yeah. Answer yours.
Oh,
Of
you have
why
it?
he. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do my how I met you and
Okay.
how I'm working. Since somehow Kelvin still didn't answer that question, is why is he still doing it?
He sort of did. I think what Kelvin kind of said is like it's a friendship, and he's learned things out of it. He likes the excitement of being in different situations. He thinks I'm a good guy, despite the fact that I got him to throw out a pair of jeans. He thinks I'm a good guy. Yeah, way deep down.
All right, so I met you through George Kimmel, who's, for people who don't know, is one of the creators of Tiger Belly. He's a producer on that show. He owns 7 Eckies, which makes Bad Friends, Trash Tuesday. He's my boss and also my mentor, and he somehow finagled me into working with Ben one day. And he was like, hey, how do you feel about, doing all this work for me and making no money doing it? And I said I wasn't interested in doing that. And then he would email me the audio to the solo episode that you did on Hating on Everything. And I finally listened to it, and I sent him my notes, and I said, this is not a good podcast. Why don't you give this guy some co-host or something? If you're still going to do this, it's not great. And then I found out that he's like, all right, I told him to get some co-hosts. We're filming on this day. Does that time work for you? To show up. So I showed up. I met Ben, and it went pretty well, I thought. I felt like I clicked with Ben right away. And I saw Ben was like really, really, really funny. Like, this is gonna sound gross. I work with really big comedians, huge comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Like I work with Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino. They've had the biggest guests. I've met some of the best comics in the world. And I honestly, from the first couple times of working with Ben, I was like, Ben's not that far off from not ever having that much experience in stage time. Ben makes me laugh harder than a lot of these seasoned comedians. Ben is also something that I respect so much about him is that he is so brutally honest and just vulnerable and will allow himself to go to places that I can't even do. Like I would be too nervous to even allow anyone to know certain aspects of my life. So I've always really respected that. That doesn't really also explain why I'm losing money.
And I said, yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, which that's why you're friends with someone, but it doesn't explain why every time I look at Ben, I lose like $300. So to answer that aspect of the question, and it's something that I've thought about a lot recently because my dad just retired from his job, so we had his retirement party yesterday, and it was like a massive turnout. Like everyone, my dad's a cop. So he just retired. He's been to a bunch of different departments, but he retired at LAX. And everyone was saying like this was like one of the biggest turnouts we've ever seen for like a retirement party. Like it was huge. And something that stuck out to me the most was that all these like low-ranked police officers would come up to me and be like, "Dude, your dad really looked out for us." It's one thing when a supervisor says that because they have to say that to the person's kid. So when like a lieutenant or captain or chief is like, "Hey, your dad's a good cop," who cares, But it's when the person who has no ranking says like, "Man, your dad always looked out for me and made sure that I was taken care of," and I've always wanted to be like that. I've looked up to my dad since I was a kid, and I kind of like want to do that with my work too. When I see someone who's like, man, he has all the potential in the world, and I can offer him the help. I want to help that person, Part of that too, I've told Ben this a million times, I'm not going to lie about this. I have a huge ego. And part of it is like I want to claim responsibility for discovering Ben at the same time too. If I know what makes a good comedian and I know that Ben has that and he's just, mentally challenged when it comes to social media and I can show him how to get better at that, I'm going to tell the whole world that I discovered Ben, And so that's part of it too. But, another part of it is I want to be like my dad. I want to always help the people who need the help, not just help people who don't really need it. And it makes me look good because I help them. Yeah. And then yesterday was, like I said, my dad's retirement, and that really stuck in my head again. It was insane. There was like people, I found out that there was a guy who was wrongfully terminated at my dad's work. And I had no idea that my dad was paying this guy's mortgage so he didn't lose his house for like 3 years. Then the guy got his job back. And the guy was like, came up to me and was like crying that like, your dad like saved my life. And my dad never mentioned that. I mean, he probably mentioned it to my mom. You kind of have to like approve that by your wife, but the guy made sure this guy didn't lose his house or anything like that. And didn't ever talk about it. So that's the kind of person that I wanted to be. And it's too late for me to do that now because I tell everyone I'm doing that with Ben. But that's the kind of person that I wanted to be, and that's why I like working with Ben so much. Yeah, I wanna help the people who need the help.
No, it's
It's more of a extensive answer than mine, but
nice, you knocked over your little plant. No, it's I didn't really put it together until you said that, but this is I am kind of in like Chris's fantasy camp for podcasting. Like I'm a Make-A-Wish kid who's like, I just want a podcast.
And he's like, we'll do it. Come on.
No, you have no eyebrows. You can still podcast. Do a podcast. It's like when when those kids like go to like the Denver Broncos stadium and they show up at practice
And they
catch a ball and then everyone dives out of the way and they score a touchdown and they're like, I'm good at football. But they're not good at football.
They're just acting.
Yeah. So that's what Chris is doing for me. He's an NFL linebacker going, no, you juked me. No, that really got me. That was good. You're 5 years old and dying of cancer. That was good. You're quick. Good moves, Ben. Yeah, I mean, I like this has been like a little bit more of like a heavy, to be honest, sad, sentimental episode. Ironically, more so than having a child and marrying my wife last week. Because I'm so grateful to you guys. You guys have helped so much, and I feel an obligation. Like I don't want to. I want to continue working with you guys in the future and not let you guys down. You know, that's the long term goal is like this works as well as humanly possible. I am whatever. I'm the Ben Herwitz version of Bert Kreischer's success right now. However that manifests. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I'm on a tour bus where no one's drinking. You know,
you have a movie made up from your life,
and we hired a Korean barbecue people to be with us on the bus. You know, Bert Kreischer has like barbecue and everybody's trashed and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Whatever my version of that is, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like everybody has their own cubicle and no one bothers them on the tour. Yeah. But we could all do that. I would love to do that.
Yeah. That'd be great.
That sort of thing. Yeah, and that the goal is like to, you know, be in a situation where I can repay you guys however that's possible.
Yeah, just when you become super famous, just don't forget about us. Not playing.
Kelvin, what?
I'm trying to say I believe in you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I did tell Ben that if he starts selling out Madison Square Garden and doesn't answer my phone calls, I'm gonna break into his house.
You're gonna kill yourself on my property if I am a huge success and I don't return your calls. No, I feel a huge obligation to you guys. I mean, like, and to not that many other people. I mean, like, I've made some connections that are great in Los Angeles, but the strongest. It's cool that you guys are both here for this last episode because you're the guys who like, when I wake up in the middle of the night or when I wake up in the morning and like, there's something I have to do. There's a deep subconscious void in me that's going like, I need to pay Chris. Yeah. No. I wake up every single morning knowing that I owe someone money.
Oh my God.
And one of those people is Chris. Like I'm in debt. I fucked up. I forgot about something. I'm in debt. There is like your head, your ponytail and beard are just like swirling around. I owe you something for sure, and my dream is to like have no regrets, no guilt. All my debts are paid. I owe Capital One $3,000 or something like that. I probably owe you guys combined $300,000. That's definitely swirling around in my head, no question. Along with a bunch of other things. How am I gonna feed my daughter? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you gotta.
That sort of thing. And maybe, you know, maybe Kelvin could, sell some of those jeans with holes in them and then profit from that somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe start my own brand.
Well, so Kelvin, we got to wrap this up. Normally we do the Ben Changed My Life segment at the end.
Yeah.
At the bottom. And then you ask a question off camera.
True.
Well, how has Ben changed your life?
That's a good question. No. Yeah. So instead of, it's going to say Ben Changed My Life at the bottom, and the song will play. Mm-hmm. But the real segment today is, has Ben changed your life?
Yeah, you definitely have changed my perspective on a few things, like just within not only the podcasting world, but the comedy world. I'm starting to get more into the comedy world just by proxy of videoing and stuff, but you've played a big part in that. Like, you're one of the main people that I was filming for besides other people that I'd already been filming for, but I got to see a whole different side of comedy, just in different rooms, different locations, different scenes, just different scenarios with you. And in a way, you've changed my life. Of course, I'm not going to say, the trajectory of my life I'm not going to say that the trajectory of my life is unchanged by meeting you. Of course, it's like tilted a little bit in a certain direction, not in a bad way. Do you know what I'm saying?
I take a U-turn. He changed lanes, but he's still going
Well, and also it's like it's not 100% about like is your life better now? You just seen some different stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's definitely worse. There's no question.
Well, I never think about like
Better or worse.
I'm more of an optimistic kind of guy. Like
That's
I don't-
and that's why we work together. Have I brought sort of a cynical, pessimistic outlook
That's
into your
actually
life
an
too?
interesting perspective. Yeah, because I don't
As you
get
were saying that, I was like, I've taught you how to be bitter and self-loathing.
there is probably a yin yang esque relationship in that aspect because I tend to be really optimistic and
true.
sometimes you bring out the realist in me.
That's a very positive way to frame that. That's an optimistic way to say that.
Oh,
Even.
well,
Well, sometimes you're late and I'm like, we're fucked, and you're like, yeah, let me you know?
stall
okay.
the gas. Yeah.
Yeah, stall. We'll be fine. That's Calvin's attitude.
No, but yeah, my life has changed. Yeah, you've given me some advice and stuff. I mean, you're older than me, and
It's true.
so I'm like, in a way, in a certain. I have a few mentors, but I kind of sort of look at you as a mentor in a way. And I don't know. A lot of people are, so it's cool.
Wish you'd told me this sooner, man. I had no
Really?
idea. I kind of get that, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I've especially when like you've asked dating questions, like you asked the dating questions on the podcast, but that stemmed from you kind of just asking me off camera,
Yeah.
on the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have a fair amount of experience there that I'm no longer dating. I'm married to someone, but I can help you. There's some of that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So.
Yeah. Helping. I hope that I've helped Kelvin have intercourse a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, you give me some advices for sure.
Oh man, that's a pretty good way to end it. Is there anything else?
I'll answer that question too, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Hilarious. It was a great idea having Kelvin on camera too.
I initially I was gonna like just try and make a joke, and then like wrap up the show. I was gonna say like not only are you like my podcast baby or Make-A-Wish baby, but you're also like my guinea pig. So
Yes,
I'm just testing stuff out on you, and that's what I'm.
That's
getting out
funny.
of it.
Yeah, I'm the cancer patient. You're like, let's try this shit. Yeah, let's inject him with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, see if that works. But when Calvin said that, like in some kind of a way, that you were his mentor, I kind of thought that you're someone. If we're gonna look at have you actually changed my life, the first thing that popped up in my head when he said that was that you kind of helped me stick by my integrity. When I was kind of meeting you, I was just ready to give most of that up, and be like, all right, you gotta do some shady stuff to make it in Hollywood, and then, I have no issue saying that you definitely have more integrity than me. And that's kind of inspiring. That's like, you know what? Why am I giving up so quickly on my integrity? Why don't I just get back on that? So I could say that when I met you, I was on the path of I was like reversing the car and be like, all right, let's do some shady stuff to make it in this business.
Whatever works.
Yeah. And then like when it comes to comedy, you weren't gonna go for the stupid hacky jokes. You were gonna go up there, stick to your integrity, be vulnerable, and say something real. So you helped me get back on that lane and be like, you know what? If Ben hasn't given up on it, and what he's doing is infinitely harder than what I'm doing, it, why am I giving up on my integrity? And I'm not even 10 years in yet, So if Ben hasn't given up, I shouldn't either. So I would say that's like an actual way you have changed my life. You helped me realize that the way that I want to produce is someone who's respected and fair and know that you can be trustworthy. Because when you think of producers, you never think about those things. You think of someone who's like, okay, they're going to make a quick buck and they're just in it for the money. No one ever thinks about oh, that's a good guy, So I could stick to that and try and be a good guy. So you have changed my life.
That's
in a
amazing.
lot of
I mean,
ways.
that's so much more positive than I thought. I mean, you are losing money in the process.
I do need I do need money.
Yeah, I've made Chris want to be a better person, and but he also earlier he said I lose $300 every time I see you.
It's a duality.
Yeah, yin and yang.
My integrity is you help me steer my way back.
Yeah. Basically, like by deduction, you're saying the more integrity I have, the less money I have.
Yeah.
That's kind of. I mean, there's some truth to it.
I kind of relate to his answer too, though. Like consistency is important. I think you have that, like, you're like, all right, we got a show here. You got to okay the podcast again, and then whereas before I was more like lackadaisical with certain things of like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll get next week.
Maybe.
Yeah, but now
When I'm not hungover.
yeah, or so. But yeah, I agree with that. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess the best way to end this is you guys just said some nice things. I just want to thank you guys for being helpful. You guys are both my mentors.
Could you imagine? Plot twist of the century.
We're all each other's mentors. Just turned into a huge circle jerk. I feel like I'm retiring or something. What the fuck is it? Yeah. Yeah. I also feel like this is my last episode that I'll ever do.
Oh, no.
It's obviously not true, but it feels like it's the end of the podcast. No, I mean,
End of an era in a way.
I want to like in a perfect world, you guys would just come out with me. Like it would never. This relationship would never end. This is the part that I don't like. Moving out there for stand up, infinitely better. There, like the room for improvement as a comic. I think maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like it's infinite out there. And here maybe the ceiling's a little lower, just as far as what I can do. But if you guys came with me, then I'd be missing out on nothing. And if you brought like one Mexican guy with a spinning El Pastor, yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
you guys, that's my, the Burt Kreischer, he has like a tour with a truck,
Yeah,
the
barbecue.
bus.
Taco truck? Yeah.
Literally, we're traveling in a taco truck.
Yeah.
There's few people who would tell me, like, if some, I love,
Yeah, a lot of mic
as much
handing.
as I love George and Bryce and everything they've done with me, if they told me like, hey, Seven Nikes, we're moving to Austin, I'd be like, oh, that's so cool for you guys.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah. But I think that, if you told me like, Chris, I got the money to pay for you to come out to New York, I think I would instantly do
That's
that,
amazing.
No offense to George and Bryce.
Well, now I need to rob a bank because that's my dream. I would love that. Yeah.
Anyways, that's just what I want to say. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
How long have we been recording?
Like an hour.
We've done an hour.
Okay.
It's a good episode. Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank you guys. The podcast will continue. If I win a $10,000, maybe let's say $100,000 trifecta. $10,000 is not enough money. I'm moving you guys out. We'll do it.
Maybe $1 million trifecta.
Yeah, a couple million.
10 million. That your number from earlier?
Yeah. Ben the Menace will not end. I'm gonna miss these guys in the short term, and hopefully it'll come full circle, and we'll be on the El Pastor tour bus, doing this.
Yeah. Your tour is gonna be, what is it gonna be called? Your first tour when you start? Yeah,
The Menace tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Naming tours is so tough.
Yeah. But they make sense when they name them.
Yeah, the Make a Wish tour. It's not bad. Any final words? You're not going to be on camera or off camera for a while on this podcast.
It may not look like my jaw's broken, but it is.
All right. That's the episode.
Last time that you're gonna see me with not wires in my teeth. It's all good.
Okay. That was weird, but thank you guys.